call is from a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded.
Waiting. That's the story of my life. Maybe I'll get the letter tonight, telling me that Governor Ashcroft, Governor Carnahan, Governor Wilson, Governor Holden, Governor Blunt, Governor Nixon, Governor Greitens, Governor Parson, or someone will do something. Time is running out.
Well, I want to introduce a very good friend of mine, Record Executive and Innocence Project Board member, Jason Flom. He launched his Wrongful Conviction podcast 6 years ago with the goal to shine a light on people put behind bars or sentenced to death row despite evidence that they are innocent. He had no idea there were so many cases, so he decided to create another podcast with a Pulitzer Prize-winning criminal justice journalist called Wrongful Conviction with Maggie Freleng. Maggie's first episode featured Patty's stories. Maggie, thank you for being here as well.
Thank you for having me.
This is the first time I've met you. I've known Jason for a long time, and we've worked together on a number of cases. Thank you for being here and talking about this case.
No, I'm really glad to be here, and I so appreciate you shining a much needed light on this awful, awful case.
I want to apologize to you for being insensitive in talking about this as a crime and just something committed. I know we're talking about your father.
Thank you.
And it's hard for you to sit there because I know this is someone's lap you crawled up in. This is your
Right.
dad. And
He was my best friend.
I know, and we're talking about it as though it's a statistic, it's a case, it's a set of facts, and I know it's your father, and please don't think I don't get that.
I know.
But
Thank you.
I'm trying to dispatch through this as efficiently as we can, but don't think I don't get that.
I appreciate that.
I do. Maggie, let's talk about the trial itself. I've spent an inordinate amount of time in trials, working with juries and things of that nature. Was this an unfair trial?
You know, I would say the whole thing from the beginning was unfair because there was no evidence against her. There was no hard evidence. We have none, like you mentioned. Fingerprints from the breaker box, as Jane mentioned, there was no power in the house. Why would you not dust that for fingerprints?
Well, let me fill in a little bit about that because I've just been asking Patty some questions. The fact is that there was a storm, and Patty points out they often lose power in a storm out there. As it turns out, there were 2 lines to the house that were cut. Mm-hmm. Storms don't cut lines. Mm-hmm. There were 2 lines that were cut. Mm-hmm. So when that happens, breakers blow, all kinds of things happen. None of that was investigated. It wasn't followed up on, correct?
No, absolutely. It was not followed up on.
They didn't get fingerprint evidence. They didn't. And there was no physical evidence tying her to this crime, correct?
Correct. What was put on at trial was allegations by the prosecutor, basically that what Jane said, Patty is an adulteress. It was based on she wanted this life insurance policy. She had affairs, which I also want to clarify. And she read pulp novels, crime novels. And to be clear about these affairs, you know, we haven't brought up yet that Patty didn't mention that Bill was also having affairs. They were separated. They weren't really affairs. They were consensual. They were 2 adults discussing, you know, you're living in this house, I'm living in this house, I'm seeing this person, you're seeing that person. So this whole, you know, she's a cheater and an adulteress is just bottom line not true, period. You know, hindsight's 20/20, and I think we look at it now and the fact that her rape was not brought up and Bill's relationships were not, really just paint her in a horrible way. That's not true.
Tunnel vision set in from the beginning. We see that again and again in cases that we've worked on together and other cases and cases that Maggie works on. And they ignored powerful, powerful evidence that she not only didn't do it, but she could not have done it because there would have been some physical evidence if she had committed this crime.
Yeah. Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.